Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining in again in yet another webinar for Insightstap. And this today we have come with a very interesting subject, especially for enterprise B2B sales teams. If you belong to enterprise B2B, I think this is a very interesting subject, and we are going to share a lot of information in this webinar. So thank you so much for joining in. I'm going to quickly jump into the subject matter, which is how to find similar companies, similar to your existing client list using AI, right? Uh, there's a lot that needs to be unpacked. So just bear with me, and we are going to cover a lot of steps here and a lot of topics within this particular presentation. If you have any questions, just make sure that you write down in the comment section and we'll try to answer as much as possible. Okay. So in this webinar, we are going to explore how to leverage AI to find companies similar to your CRM account list, or if you're using CRM account list, if you're using a spreadsheet or anything, it doesn't really matter. If you have a list of companies or prospects which matches your target audience, then using that you can find more companies, which are similar to those. This is a very important B2B growth hack. Okay, it makes sense, right? That you're selling it to somebody, uh, then a company similar to that particular company may also need your service. It's a no-brainer in many ways, but this is one of the most overlooked B2B growth strategy that I have personally found. So companies put a lot of emphasis in finding new leads, but they simply forget their own, CRM database. So today we're going to talk about how you can leverage your own database to find new customers fast. Okay. All right. So let's move on. So let me talk about why similar companies. And a long time back, I read a book written by Richard Branson. I forgot the name of the book though. But Richard Branson is like a massive funnel guru. He's a very popular figure. And in that particular book, he gave an example which kind of stuck with me. And let's call this example the Broadway example. Okay, I'm pretty sure some of you, if not all of you, might be aware of Broadway, which generally happens in New York and other suburbs in US. So these are these grand style live performances that happens, in these theaters, packed with people, and these are very famous. If you travel to US, then this is one of the go-to places to go in New York and other cities, right? So this example is a very important example, and this directly comes from one of the books of Richard Branson. So imagine yourself as somebody who creates, these Broadway shows, right? This power-packed performances that you create, and it takes months and a lot of effort and a lot of resources, a lot of money, a lot of people to come together to make this particular show. And after months of preparation and practice, you finally go to one theater and you perform and you get a wonderful round of applause and everybody's happy and it's a house full, so you make a little bit of money and you're so happy, right? Good. So it's a success, and you're packing your bags at the end of the evening, and again you'll be preparing for next week or next day to perform in another Broadway theater. And in the next week, you decide to completely change your script, everything, people, you just change everything, right? And you start from the beginning. You start preparation, you start rehearsals, you put in a new script, and then you prepare again for next 7 days and then perform on another theater, and then you continue doing that. Eventually you're going to exhaust, right? Because for every theater, if you're going to come up with a new script and a new drama and a new storyline and new screenplay and new performances, it's going to wear you down. And unfortunately, many companies, they do the exact same thing. So they go to they have a product to service. They go to one audience, they serve the audience, the customer is happy, and then they take the same product and then start looking for another company altogether from the scratch. Okay, which is not very efficient. Now imagine another scenario in which you have the Broadway show and you are the producer of the Broadway show. You perform in one theater, and then the next day you perform in another theater with the exact same show. This time also houseful. So of course you cannot perform in the same theater with the same show every single day. Obviously people are not going to turn up. But you can always move to new theaters and new cities and new countries. Because every time you go to a new theater or a new city or a new country, people are not aware of that, right? So they need that particular show. They are going to enjoy it because they've not seen it before. And in that way, you are going to make that show that you're going to perform with that show in multiple places, and everywhere you can make money out of it, right? So that's a more effective strategy, and a lot of companies, especially in B2B, they don't leverage this. So if you are already leveraging your existing customer, if you are already serving your existing customers, they are happy, then the next best customers are going to be customers who are similar to the ones that you're already serving, right? It's a no-brainer. But easier said than done. I have seen a lot of companies, struggle with this thing. So this is an example as to why you need similar companies. Okay. So key benefits of similar companies. So if you can find similar companies existing to your CRM database, you can find high-fit leads faster, right? You can expand the TAM, target addressable market, and the pipeline quickly, and you can fuel the EBM campaign, right? Account-based campaign. So if you have one account and you find a similar account who may need your similar product and services, then basically you can, do an account-based marketing for those accounts as well. All right. So let's move on and let's talk about how traditionally B2B companies were doing things before we talk about how B2B companies can now do things using AI. The old way of doing things is is pretty known in many ways if you are into B2B space, but I want to list down some of the things that I used to do personally, working pre-AI era, and it is still relevant. By the way, I'm not saying that you don't use this method. This method is still very relevant, and in many ways AI works on top as a top layer on top of these strategies, right? So the tech stack match, one of the very common ways is tech stack match. The other one is industry code list. Choose an industry and go to an agency, code list, code leads agency provider, and then ask the agency to provide you a list of all the healthcare industry in Philadelphia, in home care, stuff like those, right? So there are agencies who can provide you a list, or you can even build those lists using something like ZoomInfo and other places. And trade show visitor list. So there is a trade show around home care, or there is a trade show around certain industries. Then birds of feather flock together, as they say. The people who are going to come in are going to belong to the same industry. In many ways, you can get access to those lists. You can build your similar company list, and the use cases are many. I'm going to show some of these. For example, with respect to tech stack, you can use something like Built-With or Vapalizer. There are many tools out there. Even Apollo has a very good built-in tech stack, uh, you know, feature in it. You can just put, say, for example, if you want all the company using HubSpot, so you just put HubSpot and do the lookup, and you'll be able to find all the companies using uh, using HubSpot. Okay, I mean I'm not logged in, and yeah so okay, so this is a keyword match here. Typically you will need the tech stack uh, match. Okay, so all you have to do is just create an account. It is not free, obviously. Okay, and but you will get a list, right? Okay, so if I put something like this, so they will give you an option to download the lead list. So as of now, there are 209,220 websites using HubSpot CMS, uh, which is a large number, right? And you can, basically drill down based on the industry and the countries and like so on. So, for example, if you want all the companies who are in US using HubSpot, then possibly we have a number here, more than 40,000 companies. Big numbers, right? So if you are a HubSpot service provider, then possibly this is a very good list for you. Okay, the other way of doing that there is other way of doing growth hack. One of the very prominently used growth hack is, all the companies posting certain type of jobs. So if there are companies who are posting certain type of jobs, if they're all looking for blue collar jobs around, industrial engineering, then possibly they belong to the same industry, right? So this is another technique by which, if a company is posting certain type of jobs, then possibly, they belong to certain industry. So that's also another growth hack of finding similar companies. Okay. On top of that, you can use something like SEMrush. And what SEMrush is a market research tool where it will basically cluster together all the companies based on not just keywords but also the traffic and the trends and the industry data and the website traffic. That kind of traffic that they share, similar traffic. So it's much more enhanced and marketing friendly. And if you're using something like SEMrush, then SEMrush has that feature as well, where it can find top competitors to a particular company. So based on certain common keywords and the traffic and the competition level, and it has its own way of doing it. Okay, and then it can create a map, right? And it can make a list of all those companies, right? So as you can see, there are 5,827 companies which are similar to this particular company. I just downloaded this particular list uh, just to give you an idea. So what AI will do is AI will take all these strategies and then work on top of it and cluster together similar companies. That's what AI is going to do. So whatever traditionally you have been doing, the simple method, the AI can make it add another layer to it and make things much more effective. All right. So let me just go back. So we talked about the old ways of doing things. Let's talk about the prospecting challenges, okay, in the old ways. So obviously, if you're using the old way, there is limited targeted accuracy. For example, if you put HubSpot, there are 40,000 companies using HubSpot in the US. For some companies, it is good, but sometimes you need more targeting. Sometimes it is manual and time consuming. It can be manual and time consuming, right? And it's hard to scale the personalization. Okay, you have to do a little bit of work in terms of scaling up and creating personalized outreach and like so. So that challenge is there, but I mean I have been working on this field for a very long time. In spite of this challenge, if you want to go ahead and do it. AI is just making things faster and easier. Okay, but you still have to do the work, right? Okay, all right. So let's talk about the similar companies API. Okay, so there are now APIs coming up. Let's call it the similar companies API for the time being. Okay, so basically it will, these are AI based APIs. Okay, these are AI based agentic APIs, and it works like chatbot in many ways. To just provide a company or a list of companies, and then it will, based on certain criteria, it will find similar companies to you, and you can do it manually, of course. Download the list, upload it into the CRM, or you can integrate this API with your CRM, do a custom match, and then build a list and then push it back to your CRM or outbound tool like outreach.io or whatever you're using. You can do that as well. If you have an in-house developers, you can do that, or else you can hire somebody like us, and we can do that for you. Or else you can just use manually, just type and download the list, upload the list, and you can do the outbound. Okay. So a similar company API provides business ability to discover related organizations, lookalike audiences using firmographic, technographic, and behavioral data. Now, that's very important. Till now, we talked about firmographic, technographic, but we did not talk about the behavioral data. Using this kind of AI-based agentic solution, you can also check the behavioral data. For example, how they are behaving, right? If they are posting certain type of jobs, or they are, they are receiving certain type of traffic, or they are talking about certain type of product and solution. That's the behavioral data. That can also be added into this mix. Okay. So it streamlines the identification process and allowing tech teams to focus on high potential leads for more effective outreach. And you can do improved targeting, right? Which can drive higher engagement for your B2B sales done. Okay. Now let's talk about how the AI identifies these similar companies. Typically it is a little complex algorithm, but I'm going to just simplify it as much as possible. I already showed you, things like tech stack and similar companies and industry-based companies and, behavioral data like job post and visit trade shows. So I already talked about it, but of course, if you do it manually, you have to collaborate everything and you have to work on it. You have to put in the effort to put all the data together, analyze it. AI does it for you and make things much faster and cheaper. So AI can enrich data from multiple sources. It uses machine learning, clustering, and similar scoring. So basically, it will use machine learning, cluster those companies, thousands of companies together, and then it will do the scoring based on different parameters. And it will give you an output based on a rank list of similar companies, top down, right? So whatever you have to do manually, it may take hours and days, maybe weeks. It can do it in minutes, seconds. So that's the power of AI, and the things that we do is the same exact thing, but with AI in the picture, things are much faster. Okay, these are the key parameters for matching: industry, relevance, web traffic, behavior. Remember, I showed you the SEMrush web traffic and behavior data and industry data. So that data, the company size, the company relevance, the tech stack, and also the geographic location. For example, you want only companies in Paris or in New York, and belong to certain customer segment. These are the top ones. Of course, there are other parameters, which are there, but these are the top categories, parameters when it comes to the company match, right? Okay, so this is a simple implementation process. You have to define your ideal customer profile, which comes from your existing CRM. Choose similar company, for example, I'll give you an example as well, right? Choose the API, okay? Map the API, do the customer match, connect the API to your CRM, set the matching rule and filter, test and validate the result, and automate the enrichment and outreach. Simple. Okay? Simple first step. That means define who the customer is, create a customer match list, choose similar company API, call the API, find similar companies, push it back to your CRM. Okay, set the matching rules and filters, test and validate result. Okay. Then enrich, automate enrichment. That means find the decision makers in the company and then, start sending the outreach, right? You can automate the entire process if you hire people like us, or else you can do it manually also. If you want to do few of the things manually, you can do those things manually as well if you do not want to automate everything. But people like us, we can automate this entire process very effectively. Okay, so before I get into the case study, let me just give you one example of similar company. Okay, so for example, this is one of the tools called Similar Company Enrich. Full disclaimer: I have no affiliation with this. I just found this company. This is a new startup, I believe, and I like the look and feel of it. I have no affiliation with it. I'm not going to get any money from this company because I'm promoting them. I just like them, so I'm talking about them. It's a very simple API. There are other companies as well which provide this API. The old ones like ZoomInfo and even Apollo, they provide APIs, but it looks very simple. Okay, it is an API here. The documentation is here. You have to hire a developer, or you can hire me. So it will do an AI-powered lookalike matching, continuous learning, and real-time updates, and build to scale. Right. So, for example, if I want to put my own company and find other companies which are similar to my own company. I mean, I can put other companies as well, but for the demonstration purpose, I want to put my own company. Okay. So that's it. It is going to verify. This is just an API test. This is just a test data. So nothing serious here. Uh, but when you call the API, you'll get serious data coming in. Okay. I've already started working on. I think it's going to take a couple of minutes to do all the firmographic, demographic, behavioral data match, and and then it starts giving me the result, right? Okay. So obviously, not all the result is going to be 100% matching, but this is good. This is a good start, right? So I'm into business services. One of them is software. I think it's not relevant to me, but rest are all relevant to me. Okay, they're similar to my company, and they are also into B2B SaaS, business services, right? So pretty cool. I think you can just then push this data back into your CRM, HubSpot, Salesforce, whatever you're using, and then you can start an outreach to those companies, with your product and service, right? So it's pretty straightforward and simple, and very very effective, especially if you're in B2B sales. Okay, I'm going to talk about quick case studies here. So, I mean, we have worked with a lot of case studies. Very very simple case study that I have put. I mean, there's more than a case study; it's more like a use case. Is a SaaS company. Suppose you're a SaaS company in industrial engineering, and you're providing a enterprise grade SaaS product, and you want to find all the other companies in heavy machinery, right? Correct. So very specific. So you're looking for industrial engineering, heavy machinery companies, and you're providing software-based solutions. Then this can work very well, right? So you can just call the similar company API to expand the account list, enrich the CRM with lookalike audience, and just do an outreach, okay, and fill the pipeline if you're in sales person. It's pretty straightforward, right? You can it's like a sniper bullet technique, right? If you are under stress, if you're a salesperson, if you are under stress to fill up your quota and expand your pipeline, this is the first step I would suggest you to take. Next up, recommended tool. I already showed you company Enrich, which is more like a startup, but very good. The other ones are, of course, Clearbit, ZoomInfo, and then there are many others. Okay, these are the known ones, but there are many others. Sixth Sense also does that. If you want it, I can give you the list after this call, but the idea is not to give you a list of 20 tools. Whichever you feel is good enough for you to start right now, just go ahead and start. All right. Okay, so these are the best practices when it comes to AI perspective. Data quality is very important. Please refine your ICP. Don't, put your entire CRM list of 10,000 contacts and push it to API and get all the company. It doesn't work. Create very defined ICPs. Define it. Refine it. It can be 10 company. That's perfectly fine. It can be 5 company. Even that is fine. But you need to be very very targeted. Refine your ICP, build a list, and then push and do that, right? And create your own use cases. Continuously learn from it, score and prioritize leads. Okay, so that means every time a new lead is coming from the API, score and prioritize internally also. So don't just rely on the data provided by the company's API. You also need to score and prioritize within your CRM, right? And then personalize outreach at scale. That means use something like outreach.io or reply.io to personalize outreach at scale based on all the factors, correct? Because you have a lot of firmographic, demographic, even behavioral data coming in. And apart from this company match, you can use other third-party sources to enrich. For example, there is a company match. You provide 10 companies, you get another 50 companies, similar companies. And then you also see who is posting what kind of job. That's another behavioral data, right? Or who has visited your site in the past, correct? If you can, have that kind of data, that'll be great. So you can always add more layers on top of that, and then create personalized outreach as much as possible. And a lot of stuff can be automated here. I don't think this webinar is not about personalization and outreach, so I'm not going to talk much about it. We are talking about these things in other webinars, but this is very interesting, right? This will get very interesting, the moment we start working on it. Okay, so if you want to get started, it's pretty simple. Define your recipe, select your AI tool, companies enrich or zoom in for Clearbit or Sixsense. Set up the data sync, set up test queries, and launch an outbound retargeting. That's it. It's pretty simple. You can even run ads. By the way, you enrich these companies based on your existing CRM list. Make a list of account 100 companies or 1,000 companies, and then run very targeted, precise LinkedIn customer match ads. You can do that. So it's not just about sending email or LinkedIn message. You can even run ads to those companies and show how you are helping your customer with your product and service. So that will generate FOMO, the fear of missing out, because those companies are similar to your customer, and if your customer is benefiting from your product and service, that's going to create some sort of a FOMO in these companies, and they will try to contact you, say, hey, you know what, we also need these results. So when you're reaching out to these companies, a very important best practice is to reach out with case studies, use cases, and not just just a simple advertisement campaign. Okay, so try to create some use cases, case studies within that particular industry. Those campaigns will be much more effective. Okay, so this is the recap. It was straightforward and simple. The understanding the importance of similar companies. Okay, leveraging AI to enhance your ability to identify high potential leads, company leads for greater accuracy and efficiency, and embracing the best practices and tools to ensure successful implementation of strategies for sustainability growth. Okay, this is it. It's pretty straightforward and simple. I'm going to talk more in the upcoming days around this topic. I'm just covering these small topics, and once I've covered everything, I'll try to put them all together and try to cook them into use cases and case studies for all of you to work. All right. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any Q&A session, let me know. Just ask the questions. I'll be happy to answer. I enjoyed this session. I hope that you also enjoyed it. Okay, if you want to reach out to us, just reach out to our team in Insightstap. Please follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube. We produce this kind of content all the time. Okay, and I can guarantee that our content is not going to disappoint. Right? Thank you so much. Have a nice evening. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. See you in the next one.